I knew that I would be successful, and nobody really can know that. But once you trick yourself into thinking, yes, you will be successful, then you start making decisions that your conscious and subconscious are directing you to take decisions that are going to put you on the path of success.
Welcome to another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast. My name is David Gilliland. I'm one of your hosts here. We are so delighted to have Ellie Perlman with us with Blue Lake Capital. Ellie, welcome to the show.
Hi, David. It's great to be here today. Thank you so much for hosting me.
We like I love your story, Ellie, and I'm going to botch it, but I'm just going to share a little bit. Ellie is one of those who, when we think of us entrepreneurs and wanting to conquer the world, she first looked at her life and said, this can be better. So no silver spoon there, started from ground up, figured it out, has worked hard, and has gone from the poverty level where the child needs to work to keep supporting and helping the family, doing her part there, which she did valiantly, to now running a very successful investment business in the real estate market, and has set up a platform that any accredited investor can jump in and be a part of multi housing unit type of investments all over the U.S. Ellie, did I miss anything on that?
I think you got the main points. But yeah, it wasn't easy growing up, but I think many times you have the choice to take either the victim path or to say, hey, I'm not a victim. Yeah, I'm born to this life, but I can do something about it, which I think is something that most entrepreneurs have in, kind of the mindset that we do not accept reality as is, but we're trying to create something. We're trying to do something different and make things better for ourselves, for the world, for the family. Um, and yeah, just decided that I'm not going to be poor. And I knew that I would be successful. And nobody really can know that. But once you trick yourself into thinking, yes, you will be successful, then you start making decisions that your conscious and subconscious are directing you to take decisions that are going to put you on the path of success. Whether it is going after a prestigious institution to get higher education, or to go for a certain job that would be the first step to get you to put you in the path that you want to be. um, that's essentially what I told myself. And so yeah, it's been a long and challenging journey. Nothing is easy in this world, but I always say choose your heart. It can be hard when you
Yeah.
have no money to pay for medical bills, or it can be hard managing a team, balancing budgets, and figuring out how to pivot when the market shifts. So choose your heart.
Yeah, I love that. And and um, and I imagine your story and your passion behind really overcoming challenges, making choices, taking the bull by the horns, right? What am I going to ride here? That has really informed a lot of the purpose and mission of your organization now. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Um, yeah, I think that when you start a business, especially if you come with no money, many times the goal is just to provide for yourself, to not be in that position again, to pay your bills, etc. And then once you get there, you say, okay, I'm comfortable now. I don't need to worry about money. Now what? And if you don't really have a goal that you can connect to, whenever you hit challenges and roadblocks, you're not going to be motivated to figure it out. And most likely that you're not going to push through and stay in the game. And so at some point when I was able to pay, I paid my student loans, I paid, I started living comfortable, a comfortable life that I haven't had that before, which was weird, not to worry about, how much money I have in the bank. Can I actually buy what I need to eat? Can I pay the rent? These questions were not on the table anymore, which was nice. So you get excited, you buy this car and that car, and you feel good. And then at some point, like, okay, I have a little bit of money, but what's next? And you realize that you really
Yeah.
need to care about something, and it takes time to find it. It's not that easy. Said, okay, I'm taking care of myself, I'm taking care of my family, they're good. Okay, so what's next? And real estate was always a passion of mine because when I was poor growing up, the wealthier people in my a very extended family, um, they were in real estate. And I said, okay, then if they can do it, I can do it, and I'm going to be, I'm going to become wealthy. And at some point, I realized that, and I love multifamily also. And they're also doing that. And then I realized that when there's a lot of opportunities out there for syndicators, for sponsors to work with accredited investors, where essentially the company finds the asset, could be 300 apartment, complex, and they manage it. They they essentially raise money from a lot of accredited investors, like people who are listening to the show. So some investors put in 100,000, some put half a million, a million, 250,000, whatever that amount is, and then together they own the property. The company essentially manages the property and then sells it about 5 years later for a profit. And I realized that a lot of the other companies around are looking at investors and essentially seeing them as another check. And I wanted to make sure that they feel that there could be another way, that they can be treated differently and for us, if you write in a $50,000 check or 5 million, it's kind of, you're the same. We will treat you the same. um, and so we wanted to create a new standard for excellence for how we treat investors, and many of them became our friends. We go to some weddings, we go on vacations. We actually turned it into something more than just, hey, let us manage this investment for you. And I'm very proud of it because it's harder to do as you scale and you get more investors, because then they bring their brothers and sisters and parents and friends, and it kind of grows from there. So our goal is to provide a different level of service. And you see that I don't care what others are in the industry are doing. I don't care what their standards are. We have our own standard, and that's exciting because we create something different.
That's cool. Uh, the just the idea that we can do better than has been done. We can
Yeah.
be better than we've had in the past, and I think that's a driver for all entrepreneurs. Uh, and taking the time to define what that better really is. First, we may start at this business level, but in time it starts to get to this, like, if you think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we talked about covering safety, like,
Hmm.
can we eat and are we housed, and it starts to move up from there, and then it gets to this top level of self-actualization, which I don't think is that's a term that they'll use. I like the idea of, like, um, fulfillment or legacy building. What's the impact we're going to have, and that's often reaches even beyond business, and we start seeing it play out in all areas of our life. So what do I do with the profits I take home? What am I building? What do I care about? And how do we get all of our team and everyone looking that way? I think coming from a past where you begin with nothing and then you grow to something also gives us a hope that we can build anything, any legacy, any
Yeah.
impact.
Yeah. And speaking of legacy, when I started, I had my first deal, and I partnered with someone more experienced, and we were raising $20 million together. And I went to my father-in-law and I said, and I knew that he was investing in multifamily. He's an accredited investor, but he's been investing with this other sponsor that was very big, was there since the 80s and provided great returns. And I said, Mark, I'm starting this new venture, and here is an asset. It's in Dallas, it's a great asset. Do you want to invest with me? And he looks at me and he says, well, I invest with the other guys. They're more experienced, they're bigger than you. Why would I risk my money and invest with you? And I looked at him and I said, um, Mark, one day I'm going to marry your son, and we're going to have two kids. And I said it with a smile, so I wasn't being, you know, I was very respectful, and I said one is going to manage your empire because he has a company too, and the other one is going to manage mine. Now, I'll do it with or without you, but I would love for you to be part of it. And he was not entertained. He was a little bit shocked, but he said, let me think about it. And he came down the stairs and the next morning because I stayed at their house for that weekend, and he said, all right, I'll do it. And he wrote me a $250,000 check, which later, I mean, made him. We returned. I returned this money with, after I think it was a 4-year deal, and he made 24% IRR on it. It was a great deal. Um, but when it comes to legacy, if this is what you have in mind, and I'm sure a lot of the our listeners they want to create something that they can leave for the kids, something that is, a legacy beyond just some pension money or a house on a lake that you leave for them, but something real that they can be part of, they can grow, and they can also leave it to their children. That's something that was very attractive to me. But I will say, you have to also learn to let go and give them the choice not to join the business. So if my daughter, who's now 2, would not be interested in the business, it's totally fine. I'm never going to pressure her to be part of it. It's going to be hers once I'm gone, but I'm never going to set any expectations that you need to take charge, you need to manage it one day, because the whole point of making money and taking care of her is that she will have the choices that I didn't have. So it's just interesting when you said legacy, it kind of reminded me of that story. But legacy is
Kind of
yeah,
rings, I think.
yeah, that's why we
Well,
do
neat.
what we
Thanks for
do.
sharing. And, I mean, you've grown, you've done some great things, you've built a team. Work has become more complicated. Uh,
Yeah.
what are some nuggets you could share with other business owners that, they're rolling along, they're doing well, they've got a good team, they're bringing in the profits the way they need to, and what's helped you since passing that mark of, let's say, you're bringing in 500,000 in profits, and now you're saying, how do I keep going, or maybe even less, but you've got a full team going. What's helped you?
Yeah, I went to business school in Cambridge, and that really helped me see it as a business, and plan for it from the get go. So you really, I mean, you have to understand that you have to spend money in order to become more profitable. And so, let's say you bring in 500,000, you can decide what you want to keep, for your family, etc., and what you want to invest back in the company. There are other ways. You can take a loan, you can bring another investor and share the profits with them. There are many ways to fuel growth, but it all starts with a business plan. You have to understand, you need to make a 5-year plan and say, okay, today I'm making, let's say, half a million. I In 5 years I want to be at 10 or 20 or 50, whatever that number is. Now, what does the team need to look like in 5 years to be able to generate the 10 million to 20 million? And then you scale back, okay, year over year, what the team needs to look like, and what is the estimated profit that every team should be bringing to the table. It's not very complicated, but you need to really think about it. So if you know that 10 salesmen are going to generate, maybe on average everyone is bringing X amount in profits, then you know how many you need and how many customer service people you need, and in real estate, how many underwriters you need to perform acquisitions, how many asset managers to manage the assets, how many investor relations people to you know to essentially engage investors and make sure that they're aware of our opportunities. And so you need to build that year over year, and then you scale it and you say, okay, this is what I need in the next 5 years in terms of um, payroll expenses, whatever that is. You need to create that budget, and every entrepreneur has that. It's just stretch it beyond the next year. Look at it for the next 5 years, and then okay, for 5 years I need to have, let's say, 3 million in expenses in order to generate 10 million in profit and income. um, and then you need to think, how do I do that? Okay, option number one, which is the best for you as an entrepreneur, if because if you can fund it from your own operations, equity is the most expensive form of
Yeah.
funding that you can that you find out there. So if you can fund it from the profits and you feel comfortable with it, you can do that. And then, or you can combine with a bank loan and also some profits. And then the third step, if you do not have access to outside funding, if the business does not generate enough cash, or if you need it to support your family, the third option would be to find the money partner, find someone who can fund the operations for piece of the the equity. But even then, you'll need to present to him the 5 year plan to show him this is where we're going. So in 5 years, you'll have, let's say, 5%, 10% of a $50 million operation. But in order to do that, I needed to invest 3 million over the next 5 years and show him the ROI. It just needs a little bit more planning and thinking.
I I love that, and this is probably one of the most underutilized tools for businesses, because most of them will hit, let's say, a million revenue, 2 3 million revenue, and 500 to a million profits in there. They'll hit that from their own grit,
Mm-hmm.
hard work, hiring people when they feel like they need the help, but they're kind of looking like every hire is this expense, and so I only hire if I have to, if the work is there, instead of thinking, what do we want to be and become? What's the big thing we're going to go and achieve? And now, and I just use a simple tool of a future org chart. Here has how the organization has to be laid out at that time, with each of these delivering at these levels. That adds up to my 10 million, my 20 million, my 50, whatever, right? It adds up. You can see where it comes together, and then back that out. Say, so what's the step for year one, then year two, then year three, then year four? And it's our best guess. It doesn't play exactly out, but without that plan, it doesn't play out. We plateau,
Yeah.
right? We just start, we, we just start thinking, well, I just have to do more marketing. I just need to spend in more marketing. I need to spend in more marketing. And you do. And there were some other key roles that were essential for growth. So I love that. Make the plan in the future, figure out what the budget would look like,
Mm-hmm.
make the plan for this year. So you're staged for growth the following year. End the year looking like what? Make the budget for that. Figure out where you get the cash from, right? Can we do it from our current operations? And maybe your first year is, hey, we're only pulling in 20% on these, and we could be pulling 35 in. And that's enough to fund our growth. How could we be more efficient in what we're doing now? Or how do we get, whatever it is to maximize our team so we have the cash, or banks or investors. So great, great insights. Listeners, if you haven't grasped this little piece, because it may seem like dumb paperwork, this business plan, it's not. This is like what breathes life into your hopes, your dreams, is build that plan, get it clear. So thank you, Ellie. You learned it through formal education and probably some mentors along the way, and so others, you know, you can go some of those routes, or you can find people out there who will do this with you and help you for these first rounds until you're like, oh, I get it. Now this just becomes part of the rhythm. Every quarter we're reviewing, how are we doing against that plan, right? Where are we at, and where do we keep going? Thank you. That was a beautiful nugget. Uh, the fun thing about growth is that as you succeed, even though Ellie's got a lot of great things going, as she succeeds, it means she finds new obstacles,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's what the entrepreneurial journey is. So, uh, and what are some obstacles you're dealing with now, Ellie, that maybe we can be of help with?
Well, there's a lot of them. Depends how much time you've got, but I can break them down to professional. Um, I would say the three kind of buckets: this internal, professional, and I would say from social slash family. wise. So in the person on the personal front, you now have a lot more on the table that you're risking. You're responsible for more people that that you've hired, and you have to always maintain a positive and strong mindset because others depend on you, whether they're your family or your employees. And the bigger the company, the bigger the challenges are perceived because you have a lot more to lose, quote unquote. So when you're a small operation with two people, it worked, it didn't work, you made a little bit of profit, or it's not a big deal. When you have 10, 20, 50 people, then the challenge is much bigger in terms of responsibility, in terms of your emotional bandwidth to handle everything, because it's a much bigger operation. So that's one. So it's very important to keep a strong mindset because you will need it. On a professional level, there's managing more people is obviously more challenging, and you're starting to lose some control, which is good. It's crucial for the growth of the company. So when you're just starting out and you're hiring two people, they're probably remote, they're probably 1099 from Upwork, which is how I started. It's easy. You manage two people, you meet with them once a week, that's done. Once you start hiring, and maybe those people you bring them as an employee, as a W 2 employee, maybe they move to your office to be in the same location with you, then you start hiring more people and they want to manage people because it's a lot more work for them. Then on the professional level, as you scale, you need to learn how to manage and motivate people in a team that is bigger. It has more personalities, more people that are now not working directly with you. It just gets a little bit more complicated. It requires a bit of different skills, and not all entrepreneurs can grow and are the right fit for every stage. So I think one great example of someone who was able to take a company even to where it is, from nothing to where it is today, is Mark Zuckerberg. He had the personality to lead a company that was from the idea he came up in his head when he was sitting at his dorms and in college, all the way through a public company. Many times what you see is entrepreneurs who especially when they raise money from private equity firms, at some point they can bring the company to a um, certain level, and then they don't have the skills to bring it to the next level. um, and I'm also a part owner of a couple of VCs, and we see it a lot. We see a lot of owners that they're great for that stage, and at some point when the company grows, they don't have the right skill set. So on a professional level, one of the things besides managing more people is also to make sure that your skill set, you have the right tools, that have mentorship to take it to the next level. Maybe you can take it from 0 to 2 million, but from 2 million to 50 million, that's a whole nother level of skills, of leadership, confidence. It's a different game. So if you feel that you don't have it, just go out and seek help. The biggest names in the industry that have done great things, they all have mentors. They all pay for advice. They don't just try and figure it out on their own. So that, I would say, that's the second part of the professional challenge. And then you have the social challenge, which the bigger the company is, the less time you have to spend with your family, with your loved ones. And you kind of on a cross, you need to decide, what do I do? I have three options. I keep doing what I'm doing now and will sneak an hour here with my kids, a date night here and there with my partner. The other option is to say, no, I want to be with my family, with my friends. I'm going to hire a CEO or a COO. So they'll do most of the hard work. So I'll have more time. So yeah, you will have more time with your friends and family, but it's not the same. People are there because they want to work for you. And having someone else it may not work as well could also work great, and they may have the skills that you don't, and that can actually help bringing the company to the next level. But you really, really need to find the right person. And the third option is essentially to say, I'm going to scale back. I'm going to create a company that is a lifestyle company. I'm not going to try and scale, and I'm okay with it. And I know people that chose to do that. They say, I'm good with 2 million. I don't want to grow beyond that because I drive more pleasure from spending time with my friends and family. So you got to understand where you are between those, three options. And as you grow, those issues are going to get more complicated.
Yeah, you've been dealing with them, and it sounds like pretty remarkably well in thinking through that. What what spots do you wish you had a little insight and help from right now for you personally?
What do you mean?
What I mean, you laid out a general. Here is what all us entrepreneurs run into as we're growing
Mm.
and scaling, and decisions we need to make. Where where as you're looking at your own growth, are you saying, okay, I'm running into this right now, and I want to talk through this? Do you have something like that?
Oh, um, yeah, I think that managing managing people um, is one thing that I'm dealing with. Especially, I chose to travel with my family part of the year, so I'm actually recording from one of the houses that we moved into for the summer. I made the choice to be away from my team, and every choice, you pay the price for every choice. So I could have chosen
Yeah,
to stay home and go to the office and be with the team and not spend that time with the family. Then there was a price I would pay, um, versus being away for 2 3 months and doing things remotely that has its own challenges. This is one of the things that I'm going through, where probably next year I'll have to adjust because the company grows. I have more people that I manage. I don't i don't want to do it remotely for 3 months next year. That's going to be harder and harder to do. So we're cutting that time and adjusting it next year. So
yeah,
this is something that I'm going through, try and balance, because you say, hey, I manage a company. I work so hard. I've sacrificed so much. I want to travel. I want to do things that, most people cannot. And then the other voice in your head is saying, well, you should really be close to your team because they need you. And then everything that kind of breaks a little bit, or there's an issue, you say, I wish I was there. And so you can't really win. But I think the moment would, once I truly make peace with the choice that I would take, and not say, and not regret, when I'm there versus when I'm here, I think I would be better. But I'm still going through this, and trying not to feel bad or guilty about any of
yeah.
my choices.
I, I think that's such a real question, and figuring out how to solve it. Can be challenging, different for everyone. I have a dear friend while he was growing his business, and he, I mean, he was a genius in every aspect of his business, just very good at it. And his team was a good team, uh, but he he worked a lot, and
Mhm.
he and I were talking. He said, "Look, I worry I'm missing moments with my family. I'm missing some key building time that in the future we won't have the foundation we need if I don't build it now." And yet, the business and its growth, he was preparing for a sale of the business, growing towards that. It was like, I can't afford to take the time away. And, so it's just feeling torn. Um,
Yeah,
it,
I
and that's a
understand.
real one. And I think we all go through that, right?
Yeah, I did a lot actually before I had my kid and my beloved, beautiful 5 pound Yorkie. I was actually traveling a lot. I was, I think, on a plane probably on average every 2.5 weeks. I would go for a conference, meet with an investor, go and walk assets and meet with the property management team, and look at new assets that were in the market and visit the assets that we've purchased. So I would fly from LA 6 a.m. flight to Atlanta, Georgia, to see the we bought 150 units in that submarket, so to walk this asset to make sure everything was fine. When occupancy dropped, I spent a week there to fix it until we were on the right track. And so um, I knew that before I had kids, I wanted to give it, you know I want to travel more. And then when I decided to manage it a little bit better, and because I knew I wanted to be more with my daughter, um, I hired more people. I trained them to do what
Yeah.
some of the things that I do. So I still work until 5:36 p.m. every day. Then I stop, I spend time with her, and then you go back to it at 9 p.m., so until midnight. But it's a choice that I've made, but it's much more manageable than to be on a plane. But as I'm speaking with you, uh, I'm hopping on the plane, tonight, going back to LA for a couple of days. And so I don't travel as much as I used to, but I did a lot of it, a lot of prep work before I knew I would want to change something.
Yeah. I think that first step that you mentioned is one of the key things that maybe many of us don't take time to do. We take time to get clear about our business and our business growth. But if we don't take time to get clear about, in a personal sense, what is my vision?
Yeah.
What is my purpose that drives me beyond any business, individual person in the family or whatever else? But like, do I have a purpose or something big that I'm serving? And if you're married together, what's our purpose? What really is that? What matters most? And then kind of distill that in, and get very clear again about who we are and how we plan on living. That's kind of our core values, our code of ethics, right? Just so clear that we've written it out. We've thought through it. We put it in every aspect of our life. Then we start to say, okay, so what are some measurable goals showing that I'm serving that? If we don't take time to do that personally on the regular, this isn't a one and done. We revisit it, we rethink it. I think every year, just like maybe you do a clean out of the office and let's start fresh, to do it every year, thinking through getting clear personally is really key, because then you can see now the question is let's get clear for the business. How does the business serve that? Right? Is this a vehicle still towards that, or has it become a weight holding me back? And how do I align that? Because when it's aligned with your personal, and you get that business aligned with that personal goal too, and who you are, you again find the energy, you find the time, and you're clear. So for this friend that I'm talking about, yeah, he actually realized he needed to spend more time with his wife on the regular, and then with his kids on the regular. And so we got his wife on the phone, and together we put his little vacation times, one every quarter. And his whole thing was prepare to be gone for X amount of time, right? He'd be gone. And he was preparing. We said, okay, what's going to break while you're gone? Let's prepare and build the systems and processes and the team needed to run that. And then when we get back from vacation, we get right on the call. What broke? Did that thing break? No, no, that worked well. So what did? Well, this broke. Okay, let's
Let's
fix
fix it.
that. And then let's build the next for the next trip. What's going to break? And in the first trip, he could take his computer, he could take his cell phone. The next trip, he could take his computer and his cell phone, but nothing could be turned on until after a certain hour. The following trip, he was only allowed to check things after 9 p.m. at night, and he couldn't have his laptop. And
Brave
the next
man.
one was blackout,
Right, brave
right?
man. Oh, how you did it. I'm not there. Yeah.
He began at the when we first started talking, he was like, no, 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 I take some time off. On Sundays, I only put in 8 hours. And so the rest of the week was just, right, just all in crazy. And by the end of 3 years, he was taking 12 weeks blackout. The business was growing. He was adding new clients that he didn't even know, new features to their software he hadn't even come up with. The team was growing and doing, and he sold a 15x revenue.
That's very nice.
That's not a bad place to be.
Yeah,
Um,
because he automated the business instead of being the bottleneck.
well, that's right, and not necessarily automated in a mechanical sense, though some of that
Yeah,
happened, but also in a team,
yeah.
building each person, making those hires, making those investments. Because for him, he saw he needed to invest in something on a personal level that mattered more to him. He's like, he'd already meet his financial needs. He didn't need the business. This was fun. He loved it. And so he was building the business now to go and create even more freedom and do more. And and he had a great run of it. And he's got another business going now, and he's got
I
all
was
sorts of
about to
stuff
ask,
going.
what does he do now? Because many entrepreneurs, when they sell their business, they immediately
Yeah,
start a new one because it's not about the money. It's never really
it was
about the
never
money.
about
It's
the money.
other ways to do it. And
That's
yeah,
right. And so that
yeah,
purpose up here that pulls you,
yeah.
that's going to
It's
guide you
there.
to your next thing and your next thing and your next thing. But if you're not clear about your purpose, it's like Alice in Wonderland. Well, where do you want to go? If you don't know which way you want to go, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter which way you choose.
yeah. You know,
Right. so,
my cousin from abroad
so
visited me this week, and she said, "When are you gonna have?" Because I don't really talk about money um, with the people around me, and she said, "When do you think you're gonna have enough money so you can just retire and
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 you're
not
like,
work so hard?"
retire
And
wasn't
I
my
looked
goal.
at her, and I said, "I could have done it years ago. I don't really need to work. I'm blessed." And I worked hard because you need to have both. You need a little bit of luck and you need to work really hard, which is also luck because everyone is born with a set of your DNA is
Yeah,
defined.
your body's going to either break on you or something else, or your mind.
Yes.
And
So
so
luck
that's a
is
bit of
it's
luck
still
too.
luck. Yes, it's still luck. Just different type of luck. This DNA luck and opportunity luck. But I said I told I can sell it today, or even if I didn't, I don't. If I close it tomorrow, I have enough my entire life. Like I don't have to work. She looked at me. She was shocked. She was shocked. She was like she said, so why are you still doing it? And I said, because I love challenges and I want to grow it. I want to take my company public one day, and that's my goal. That's my
I love it.
goal. And she could not understand it. And I said, what am I gonna do? Let's say tomorrow. And she said, and then what are you gonna do? I said, I'm probably gonna be, I don't involved in another company or charitable, or something.
Hmm.
I can't just drink Mai Tai at the beach and pass my days like this. It's freaking boring. There's no meaning to that type of life. And so
That's right.
I just thought it
And
was,
the ones that I've seen sell without a clear purpose and a what's my next, I'm only selling, I'm only moving on because something else will help me move faster towards the growth I care
yeah,
about.
yeah,
If you don't have that, I watch them drop into depression.
yeah,
And you're like, you got millions and you're depressed, millions and I'm depressed.
yeah,
And absolutely. And so you're right, a purpose. So the one insight I would give is let's get clear personally on what this is all about.
yeah,
And then let's align the business to it. And let's have a pattern that we do that regularly. We're
yeah,
checking in, thinking about it. I love to do it with my spouse uh, because we're united in that personal front. And so that's how I think about it. But getting that clarity, I believe will help you as you are making these decisions you're talking about now. Anyway, our time is so far past.
yeah.
Listeners, sorry, we dragged you much further, but there were some gems in there. Ellie, if people want to get in touch with you, invest with you, or whatever else, how would they reach you?
Well, you can definitely Google Blue Lake Capital or Ellie Perlman. You'll find our website. It's bluelake-capital.com, or you can email to info@bluelake-capital.com. I know it's long, but this is the best way to reach out to us. If you go to our website, investors can leave their information in the investor form, and we're happy. One of my team members is gonna reach back out to you and have a conversation about what we do, how you can invest, what returns you can expect, etc. Because I do think that it's really important to diversify your wealth, especially if you want to take care of your family. So some of it can be invested in the business, some in real estate, some in the stock market, whatever that is. That's one way of doing it without the hassle of managing assets or owning two, three, 5 units and managing. It's a lot of work. So we're happy to do it for our investors.
Thank you so much. That wraps up this episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast. We hope you gained some nuggets from Ellie's insights and wisdom and tenacity. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, get it to other people so they can learn about uh, Blue Lake Capital. They can learn about Elite and the different things that can help you to grow and scale. And until our next show, keep learning, striving, growing, and caring.